Hi, so the Warcraft movie, which came out a couple of years ago, love it or hate it, it was disappointing in terms of its performance at the cinemas, particularly in North America. But overall, it was quite weird. I mean, early on, despite the fact it wasn't exactly setting the world on fire, it did look like it was going to get a sequel. I remember doing a video, in fact I've actually checked since to make sure my memory isn't faulty, and indeed it sounded from Duncan Jones' point of view, who was the guy who really went with this project, that there was probably going to be a sequel from it, but for various reasons it didn't happen. Ultimately it has made a loss overall, and really what happened was people didn't continue to see it. So most of the people who saw it at the cinema basically saw it in the first week or so. There wasn't a lot of repeat viewing or going to people who maybe are on the fence and going, oh no, it's a really great film, go and watch it. So that was disappointing. It has made a net loss overall, a small one, but you know, a loss is a loss. And just before Christmas, I saw Duncan Jones tweeting to suggest that probably a sequel was not going to be happening. And in the surest sign since, Legendary Pictures has auctioned off a load of props from the film. That's basically their way of saying, we don't need these anymore. And what I'm going to do in this video is to go through some of the items you could have had. If you were aware of it, you may have already seen some of these. The auction is, of course, over now. So I'm going to go through what you could have got as a bit of a bargain, as well as the very, very top end one. What sold for the most? What would you imagine sold the most? So let's start off at the short end here, what you could have got for smaller amounts of money. And basically the cheapest lots went for about $50. So for example, what you've got is in the top left there, you've got a VXF hooked spear, it's called. Of course, you know, a lot of CGI used in the film, which means a lot of CGI type props. So it doesn't really look like a weapon. It's really just there as a prop. But if you wanted a little piece of the film, then $50 is what that would have cost you. What we've got along to the right of it is Black Ant's Claw. Again, another VFX item, a bit more noticeable, this one. You know, if someone knew it was a prop from the film, they'd also know which specific prop it was, and that could have been yours as a snip at $250. Just below them, we've got Medivh scrolls. Some of the library scrolls. Now, some of these props, there were multiple of sort of the same ones, and they went for varying prices. You can sort of imagine 2 or 3 people really wanting a piece, and the first lot would probably go for the most, and then gradually it sort of come down. But the library skulls cost, what, $375? And then there we've got on the top right a Lordaeron banner, which again went for $375. These are, you know, fairly nondescript items. The Lordaeron banner probably is the most recognisable. If you put that in your house, someone who, without having to be told it was a prop from the film, who at least knew Warcraft, would go, oh, Lordaeron banner. A lot of the ones that went for the least, of course, would be the least recognisable, as I'm sure you'd probably appreciate there. Now, onto some much more recognisable ones. So, in the top left, what we've got, and it was described as Blooded Kulturan Shield, that went for $400. There were a few shields, and again, there were multiples of these. So this was the cheapest Kulturan shield. There were some others with varying amounts of blood on it, some with none at all, that went for more. The Stormwind shield that you can see to the right of it there went for $600. It was described as Alliance shield, but you know, that's got the line of Stormwind on it there. Now, down there bottom left, we've got some Draenei skulls. Now, it wasn't the only lot labelled Draenei skulls. There was a cheaper one, but they didn't really have any visible horns on them or anything like that. They could have been any old skulls. So these are the first ones that would be recognisable Draenei skulls, and they went for $700. And then, you know, what I'm hoping your gaze will be drawn to would be the most impressive shield, at least on this page, which would be the Lordaeron shield. That went for $900 there. Again, there were some other ones that went for more. This was the cheapest one that went there. And then a little souvenir from Stormwind itself. Honest Blades, which is one of the shops in Stormwind. We have it in the game now. So, you know, the sign hanging outside it there could have been yours for $1,000. So then getting on to some of the more, again, you know, distinctive items. So in the top left, you've got what's described as Alliance hand cannon. It's not described as one that Lothar specifically uses, but it is presumably from the set that Magni gives to the Alliance. He's crafted for Stormwind guards at the start of the film. Sorry, stuttering there. That went for $1,000 as well. So if you wanted something like that, $1,000. The only problem with that one, if I was like looking to spend that and I wanted something from Warcraft, if someone just saw that, they wouldn't necessarily know it's from Warcraft. If I'm going to be spending that much, I'd want something quite recognisable. So a few other items. Now, one thing that I thought was a bit of a bargain in the bottom left were the Archmage robes, you know, from the Kirin Tor Archmage. And that was $1,500. So, you know, as a very distinctive costume. It wasn't the only one. There were some, like, dwarf costumes. The problem with the dwarf costumes, they didn't really look like, you know, you wouldn't really recognise them. Fairly nondescript. But these ones, I think, were a bit more recognisable. So $1,500 for that. Now, for the Horde, so far, of course, we've been looking at stuff mostly from the Alliance. Most of the distinctive stuff, it has to be said, was Alliance-based. There were a number of Horde assets. And probably one of the best, from my point of view, one of my favourites, would be this Horde banner. It wasn't the cheapest Horde banner, but it was the best one for, I don't know whether you'd call it a reasonable amount of money, but the amount of money that this one cost, which was $2,750. And then a couple of strange lots. So the first one here on the top was called the Atish Topper. So it's got the raven at the top of the staff Atish, which the Guardian uses, Medivh. But it's only the top of the staff, and someone bought that for $3,000. But then the next lot here, what you can see is it's Medivh's robes and the staff, which, looking from the photo, includes the topper. So it's the full staff, including topper, and Medivh's robes. And that only went for $3,750. So you could have had the whole lot more for an extra $750. Potentially, of course, bidding thing. It may well be that the one who got the topper wanted the robes and the thing, but they couldn't quite go that high. But they could go for $3,000 for the main thing. Maybe they just thought, well, I can get a staff for like, you know, $100, get someone to make me a staff and stick it on top of it. But, you know, the real thing with the robes for $750 extra sounded like a bit of a bargain for me. I mean, that again, you know, is the sort of thing, if I had that much money, maybe if I'd have known a year in advance, maybe I'd have even saved up for a few of these items. But I only really found out about the auction literally like a couple of days before it was going to go live. And I just thought, no. And I didn't want one of the items that you could, again, one of the early ones that are just there to have a piece of the film. You know, for me, it needs to be something distinctive, something to display. And people come in and they, if they're a Warcraft fan, instantly know what it is. And if they're not, it at least looks impressive. I don't think there's anything very impressive about a VFX prop, if I'm honest. So, getting on to some of the more serious stuff now. The stuff that would certainly attract questions if you displayed it in your house. But there you go. So on the top left, we have a weapon rack with halberds. Now, it's not the only weapon rack that was on offer, and it's not necessarily the cheapest. But a whole rack full of halberds. Who wouldn't want that in their, you know, living room or wherever you bring guests to receive them? That would be a talking point and a half, and could have been yours for $3,750, the same as the Medivh robes and staff there. And then the first really good costume, it's not the cheapest costume, but the first one that's, again, really distinctive is the Stormwind footman there. And that went for $4,250. Not the only one, there were other ones as well. There was a slightly cheaper one for the armour, but this one specifically included weapon and shield as well, for not much more. So I think that would definitely be worth it. So, you know, and then what I'm just going to go on to now, because at this point we were getting into the higher ones. There's some super high value ones, from my point of view anyway. Because these sort of things, all the ones I've gone through so far, in theory, if I'd have had a year's notice, could have saved up for them. Could have had them myself. Unless someone just pushed me much further than I could have gone. But for the prices they went. Now, my pick would have been, if I could have actually just saved up and got any item on there. It's not the most impressive item, but for me personally, I'd have loved this item. It's the sort of thing I could well imagine putting in the home. And my favourite was this one, which is the mailbox, an Alliance mailbox. Absolutely love to do this. Love to do it with the mailbox series. That would be amazing. That one went for $5,500. semi-functional. I'm not saying you'd put it outside your house as an actual mailbox, but you know, it's got a void inside it. It's got space inside it. You could put things in. So you know, I would have very much liked that. Maybe you could sort of turn it into a drinks cabinet or something. I'm not quite sure the details about how it hinges, where it goes, where you put stuff in. But again, that would be a nice little talking point in your hallway or something like that. So, what won as the most expensive pieces? There were some pieces. I mean, these are mere thousands. Nothing got up to like $250,000 or something. Don't worry, I'm not going to go that mad. But there were things that went for tens of thousands. There were a number of costumes. There were a number of busts as well. There were quite a lot of very impressive pieces. And I will put a link in the description below to the auction site so you can check through all of them yourself and say, oh, do you know what? I would have liked that. But the two priciest items were both items used by the same character. It might be a bit surprising, or maybe it won't be a bit surprising. The most expensive items were, in the top there, we've got King Lane's sword and sheath. It was King Lane's, I know. It does look a little bit different to Lothar's. That went for $51,000. $51,000 for Lane's sword and sheath. And then you've also got his full battle armor, not his only armor, but this is the full battle armor that he wore at the end with shield, and that went for $60,000. So those were the most expensive lots there. So you had things from a mere $50 all the way up to $60,000. So the props have basically gone. You've lost out now unless you can persuade someone who bought one to sell them to you. A bit disappointing. I've looked at auctions of films before and always thought, oh, if only I knew about this in advance. Maybe I should just save up a fund so that in the future when I find out about an auction, I'll already have a fund saved up so that I can get a few pieces myself. But there are certainly some pieces that, you know, with a bit more time I could have saved up for. A bit regretful there. But let me know what your favourite items are as well. Do you know, are there some items there that actually you think about it, well, maybe you could have, you know, put that money aside and maybe you'd have had a bit of history as well. Would you have necessarily wanted to? Would you as a fan of the film, or would you as a fan of World of Warcraft? Hope you enjoyed the video anyway. Check out the link below if you wanted to have a browse yourself through the items. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share for further content. And until next time, I'll see you later.